Hi Tea Society, welcome back to the Antisocial Planet. Today we are checking out Tower of God webtoon. Don't ask me to summarize what happened in the last chapter, there's too much. There's love triangles and betrayal and murder and gods and messengers and princesses and weapons and resurrection, and it's just, there's too much. We ended off with Enru when he showed up, and I'm assuming when he killed the administrator, because they said that the Shinsu turned red or whatever, so I don't know. I'm just having a stress response to everything at this point. All right. I was gonna say it also looked like snow because we had the floor, the cold. Sorry, I said floor because I'm so used to that being how we're doing it. The different cities, one of them's cold, one of them isn't. The fact that he was like, oh, you love this place, I'm gonna make it about me, I think also tells us a lot about who Jahad is. He appeared? It's a little bit vague. I know we have the symbol. Hello, hi, yes, this is, we were introduced to you a little bit before. Interesting to have the red going on. We usually have that associated with a certain group of people with all of the reds. Hello, robotic looking fish. Are you a ship? Oh, hello, giant puppy. I know it's probably not the point. We need to focus. We need to stay on task. I feel like maybe I'm reading too much into looking at all the people involved here. Look, would they still be alive now? I don't know. The tower's weird and there's immortality and stuff. I don't know what's going on anymore. Got that fanatic being used again. Dang, hello. Wow. The spears is also interesting. Not just because we have like spear bearers and all of that, but also like the thorn is like the red color and that's associated with what's going on here. You know what I mean? Interesting to have to like drop to like flies. I know it was like obviously a turn of phrase, but then all of the bug imagery that we already have with this floor, I think that's interesting. And even just the imagery that we've had earlier, right, with Kaiser and everything, of talking about walking on top of other people and repetition of this idea of we're getting into people in the tower who are so powerful that they're almost like removed from the general population, right? And even in us breaking down like Rachel as a character, as much as it irks me, right, but like her whole thing is she doesn't want to be one of those like bugs that it gets stepped on. So I think it's so interesting to have these continued motifs. Su's really good at that, like setting up these motifs that we keep coming back to, but like he keeps adding on to it all, right? Like we get all of these layers over time of like people saying certain language or like using certain imagery, and it all kind of layers up on itself without it being too like on the nose or like in your face of remember when we talked about that. It's just something that like builds up as the world expands and we meet more people, we get up more lore and stuff. Oh, hi. Hello? Are you the administrator? There's a lot happening in this panel. There's a lot. My brains, I can't pull apart all of the layers of the visuals of that. Is that where the thorn was originally then? Is he a human ignition weapon thing? I was already getting the vibes. I know that he's connected because we were like, that's how it was like delivered to like bomb specifically. So like, did we use it first? Wild to have this almost like apocalyptic energy. And then it's just like, again, like this scale difference of like people who are like existing in these spaces in comparison to these like powerful people around. That's also terrifying. Very like apocalyptic. I already had some of that because we've have like religious imagery obviously in something that's called Tower of God anyway. There's like an implication of that, but I was already talking about how in the last chapter I'm like, okay, we say the messenger of God. I'm like, that usually biblically that would be Gabriel, but I'm like, it's giving Michael though. And at least if we're talking about like Revelations, which I know obviously we're getting into the weeds if we're talking about like doctrine and religion and all of that, but like the book of Revelations, regardless of whether or not it's part of your own belief system, the story of that is Michael coming for like the end of the world, and it involves imagery like this and defeating like this, I think it's described as like a dragon, but it's like this giant beast thing, right? And we're getting some of that imagery with the administrator and stuff. I'm just saying it's interesting to pull some of that imagery into this fictional world and some of the like parallels there, like some of the influence of it, especially with the weapons, right? Like we have all these swords. There's like the flaming sword. Anyway, I don't know if it's hidden. Looks a little bit obvious in this panel, but that might be the point. Yeah, there's a lot of layers of manipulation and like plans that have been going on for a long time in this whole setup. Yeah, there's also all the layers of, again, I can see after getting into some of that in the last few chapters of like why there is this fanaticism within Foog when it comes to someone like Viole, right? Like the concept of Viole Grace, whether or not we attach that concept to Bum, like the person character here, right? But the concept of like Viole Grace within this belief system for Foog. I can understand the different layers of why they feel the way that they do. It's not just something that is like a group of people in opposition to the systems that make the tower work the way that it does. It's like there's a religious like belief layer to it as well, right? Within like the legends and like history of the group. You can decide your own destiny, your own person. We were doing so good with that. Yeah, there's so much going on with that too. There's a whole other plot line that's happening. It's just, oh yeah, we're also dealing with some like warlords and all that. And we just didn't share with everybody. I mean, I don't really expect her to share everything that's going on, but like still. I don't know, we got like a red-haired, red-eyed person associated with this floor, and now you know about paths and stuff. I do think it's really interesting that we have Lady Yuri on an angle in opposition to the panel before with Parun. Again, we have like almost this like opposition, like they're at different angles, they're framed differently in the panels. It's even though they're having a conversation that is very like civil on the surface, right? And they're just sharing information back and forth in a way because of how the panels are set up. There's some antagonistic kind of layer underneath of it, which I think is really well done. Of even though it seems fine, these are two very powerful people who have their own like agendas and are in opposition to each other, right? Like one associated with Foog, one is a princess of Jahad, and now we're putting them in the same place, right? With some amount of crossover in what they're after, but like ultimately they're still navigating carefully around each other, right? I thought probably there was some going on because we're also on the side with the eye patch, which means you're hiding something. Yeah, he's already like a personal. When have we gotten into a personal zone? Are we gonna get backstory for you? That'd be so exciting. Interesting too, like I said before, I'm like, we already had someone who's like, I don't know, red hair, red eyes. I'm like, we know a little bit about what that might be connected to, and now it's like the like red witch guides come to the floor of death as opposed to like others. Gosh, it would suck to be in a place with Shinsu that's just not controlled if you're used to when it is controlled. I'm just imagining what that would be like to experience, even though I know it's a work of fiction or whatever, but I'm like it would be like the atmosphere would just be like suddenly like crushing it on you, you know what I mean? Like it was just nope, I don't want to know. Wild to say suffer from aging. So we're getting back to the people who were in charge and now one of them's gone. That's how we got Heljo, which is still wild, I guess is his name. That's why the souls. Okay, so it's like we don't have the Shinsu to help us in the way that it would with other floors and things like that because we don't have an administrator. So how do we circumvent it? Yeah, it's just more, it's trapping them more, right? Like you're trading like one prison for another. Do you like not age, but you're stuck here? Or do you age, but there's like a chance that you could get out? How do you decide those two things? Interesting to also have the wings. I know there's, again, insect imagery, bugs, but also with some of the angel imagery, fallen angel imagery, if we're getting into some of that as well, if we're going biblical. Kind of a wild panel too with all the line work. Oh, we harmed a guide that I'm assuming, oh, geez, I wasn't expecting to see them. Hello? That's a wild image. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like asking her to help. It's like she can't though. Like it doesn't work here. Oh yeah, interesting too. I'm like, if the ability of a guy doesn't work and you're just like she said, like you're a normal human when you're here, then she wouldn't have been able to see her death. Like she wouldn't have been able to see the destiny coming. Oh, there's so many layers. Yeah, like I was gonna say, if you can see your destiny, but you can't see the floor of death, then it's if you know what your death is and it's not here, but suddenly your powers aren't working. Like you can't, I don't want to say powers because I don't know. Anyway, you can't see your destiny anymore suddenly while you're in this place. It's like this weird paradox zone. Suddenly you don't know your destiny. To know what the future holds for you and then to suddenly be in a place where like you can't see anything anymore and realize that like maybe what you thought you knew was going to end up being a lie after you've known for so long. That would be terrifying. Yeah, so it's not just that it's like a red witch guide. It's also like he's messing with the foundation of who and what she is as a guide, like a key part of her identity. So I get why like personal grudge, right? But like for the intruders, I think we said his name too many times. He's showed up now. The vague something. Yes, the whole battle royale that's going to be happening, which is probably fine. Those only ever turn out well in this story. Like every time that we've had something like that, it has never gone off the rails and caused me a ton of stress. Never. At least we're all going to be told to go to the same place now. We might meet up again. You look a little unhinged. The eyes and everything. Okay, so like eyes, obviously, already connect that with Jahad, right? We have the 3 eyes or whatever. Also, red eyes, also with one Enru, right? Who like calls everything, but also like the red witches, right? I was assuming the eyes were like decorative or from some creature on this floor, and now I'm starting to be uncomfortable thinking about where those eyes might be from. I don't know if any of that's gonna come out at some point, but my brain is like, unfortunate connection made. Oh, yeah. When I said everyone's gonna be meeting at the same place, I forgot that also included Rachel. Why would it be? Yeah, it's probably a trap, yeah. It makes sense too why now she's, I need your help to get rid of Heljo, because if she doesn't have the same abilities, right, as she normally would, she's at a significant disadvantage. So having someone like Lady Yuri take care of it for her, there's a better incentive there, right? Because she can't see the outcome, right? Like she can't see the path forward on this floor, so she doesn't know what's going to happen. So either Lady Yuri, very powerful, definitely the kind of person you'd want to put in the ring if you're going up against somebody that you don't know how much power he's going to have in that fight. But also, worst case scenario, something bad happens to a princess of Jahad, which like for her is like a win-win, right? It's like two birds, one stone. Even if she has like a personal grudge against Joe specifically, right? And like casual, like, Viole will probably be there too. Starting to. From the sounds of it, he's always had trouble. Oh, there's so much going on. I don't even think about the stress that I have with Joaquin and Karaka coming to some kind of agreement. That just seems like a lot of crazy to put in one room. I'm just realizing that I'm like self-soothing by hugging myself. It's fine. We're not stressed at all. But anyway, so are they gonna deal with it? I feel like Bomb's gonna be like, I have to go help my friends, if that's where they're gonna be. And also, I guess if the thorn fragment is there. Oh, so we know. I just feel like putting Bomb near where there are more souls being collected is like a whole thing. I feel like probably we're going to try and give them back, but what if people don't want them? We've had some people we've already interacted with on the floor of death where like, maybe we just stay here. But also, I feel like Bomb's going to be like, I couldn't save all these other people whose souls I'm in charge of, so I have to save the ones I can. Or something else happens. You look terrifying. Okay, so maybe we can get some answers? Okay. So now we gotta choose, where are we gonna go? Are we going to help our friends, or are we going to get answers? Are we good? You've got the eyes? Perhaps. The casual just, I don't know what's gonna happen, but if you're actually who you say you are, who we think you are, you should be fine. Yeah, I'm also confused. Like, I'm confused and overwhelmed, and this isn't even like a story about me. It is a work of fiction. And I'm still like stressed. So I can only imagine what it would be in world. Yeah, what I just say, I'm like, which way are we gonna go? Are we gonna stay in North City and get answers? Or are we gonna go to South where we know our friends are? Or get cosmic power and do both? Given Bomb is just escalating when it comes to power ability, we can make black holes now, so who knows? I don't know, your eyes are closed when you say that. Good. Be your own person. Don't let people get in the way. I love that. Mata is like, I want the gossip. I want to know what's going on. Look, he seems like a little bit like I wouldn't want to be around him for too long because of the whole like puppeteering things, right? But I like his energy. Scares me a little bit. I don't know. Last time we were like, we're gonna do something for ourselves, it didn't turn out well. I remember the workshop battles. Well, no, we got a memory of some kind. He's like, can't I go with you? He might be a little bit insane. I don't think anyone is sane in the tower. Not at this point, anyway. We left sane back many hundreds of chapters ago. He meant the power of friendship, I think. But I think there is like a chance of figuring something out. Aww. I love he's like, fine, I will go with you. They're cute, actually. Little trio. Y'all barely know each other, too. What a wild thing to agree to. I think this might be a bad day for you. I feel like we're setting something up for foreshadowing that this is going to be unfortunate. Yeah, what I say about how this might be unfortunate for you. Oh yeah, you're gonna have a bad day. Lady Yuri is showing up. Read the panel. Cool entrance. Look, the transformation. Great show. A+ for showmanship. I do not think your chances are good. I think this is just going to make her more excited about the fact that this fight is going to happen. She's going to be like, awesome. Oh yeah, I guess we have the whole immortality thing. I think that's also just like a challenge that Lady Yuri is going to want to step up to. She's just, oh, so I can go all out then. Fun. All right, let's watch Lady Yuri ruin someone's day. The Immortal is so pointed of the difference between who can actually die here and who can't. And I feel like Lady Yuri really is just going to take that as like a fun little challenge for this. The way that Evan is just like jumping out of the way, still carrying his pack. And we got backup of some kind, at least. Yes, it is a little bit of an issue that we're dealing with beings that can't actually die on account of not having souls. So I'm not sure how we're going to circumvent that, given that we were fighting the creatures before and we just had to retreat. Sachi, right? It looks like it. He's got the vines going on. crazy power. His power might be like one of my favorites. Just like aesthetically, I've like, if I could choose a power to have, I might want to be Sachi. His character design is also quite nice. Now I'm thinking of cosplay. Not the point. I do love a good like fist fighting kind of power though. I tend to, whenever it comes to magic systems, I'm like, I want something that basically is just body augmentation so that I can just beat something with my bare hands, which is not exactly Sachi's style. Working together. All of the body imagery is gonna get to me. Every time, like, crazy team up of the sheer number of people that have incredible abilities on our team so far. It's called Gallstone Village. Bum's on a side quest to find himself. Yeah, it's good. I like that we're coming up with a plan for that specifically, because that is the main roadblock. I like that I was literally like, we already dealt with this, and it was the Beatles, so I like that we're well aware of what the issue is here. Okay, true, it's not the same kind of immortality as, like, making deals and everything. A weapon like one of the months? Yeah, I was gonna say, Green April, Black March. I was also gonna say, because the weapons are, like, so old, right, and, like, the lore of the families and, like, Jahad and everything, that they could also, like, one, super powerful, but like two, don't necessarily stick within the constraints of what the kind of like administrators are supposed to be doing on floors and everything, right? There's so many structures to ensure that like the way that power works within the tower is contained to a certain level, right? Even just having the families fighting within each other is also a way of containing that power so that Jahad stays as like the main power and authority. So the 13-month series is also like predating a lot of all of those mechanisms, right, to ensure that everything stays the way that it is, which is going to the same thing with these spells, right? Like, spells are taboo even though they've existed for a really long time, and probably some of that is like the sheer amount of like power and possibilities that you can get with them, right? Like, a lot of people who are in positions of power that they've taken by force and want to maintain that authority and power will spread misinformation, but like this idea that something should be avoided or that there's something dangerous about something because you don't want people to have that power and ability, right? Okay, and there are rules. Cool. So if you have a higher ranking, it'll outrank it, and the 13 months is pretty high up there. Yeah, true. Also, like I said, like the administrators and all of the kind of structures around that kind of came later, so even they don't have like authority over those weapons. Okay, so we had the whole like ignite thing before we got the flashback. Yeah, that is also gonna happen. There'll be panic, right? Because suddenly they don't have that barrier or like guarantee. Also, it will be interesting because a lot of the loyalty between this group, right, of Heljo is, one, knowing that they're immortal, so like why pick a fight with somebody you can't kill? And two, the promise that they're going to get their souls back to leave this place. So if they find someone who can kill them, what's to make them like look out for each other, right? What's going to keep them together within that chaos? Right? Whereas if you have like Bum and like his friends, there's more tying them together in moments of chaos to look out for each other. But in this group, it doesn't seem like they actually like to be around one another. There isn't actually any camaraderie. It's like, we both want the same thing. And also, I can't kill any of these people who do frustrate me or annoy me. So I have to find some way of coexisting with them. It might also give them an opening in the chaos. Yeah, you do have to actually succeed first in that plan, though. Oh, that's all. Yeah, like I said, the whole plan kind of hinges on like this one thing actually happening to tip all the dominoes. If only we had, say, Bomb around. Maybe. You got this. Learning under pressure. You're telling me she literally has two, and he's never managed it? I understand that there's a whole other almost like political side, right, of being able to negotiate power and authority by having both of them, right? Like, just having two of these series is enough to give her leverage. She doesn't actually have to use them. In fact, it's probably better if she doesn't use them, given that would escalate things, right? Like, her using one of these weapons and actually igniting one whilst fighting like another one of the princesses would only give justification for things to escalate, right? They've talked about that throughout the princesses, and specifically Lady Yuri getting involved with other stuff in the tower, right? Of, now I have an excuse to get involved because you started it. So it's probably safer for her to not use it. The like threat of being able to use it is probably enough for her to leverage and get away with. But now we actually need something. Now we actually need you to be able to figure it out. So everyone just believes it. Yeah, it's what you get. Now you have to live up to the hype. It's interesting too, like, this is a bit of a gimmick, like a little bit of adding in some humor to the tension that's going on. But I also think it's interesting going back to all the stuff with Viole, right? Of people thinking all of these different things and attributing all of these different abilities to Viole as like a concept, right? Back with the workshop battles, that Bomb didn't actually have to do anything, right? For a bunch of stuff, because people just believed in what Viole could do. The name and the reputation was enough to get him pretty far. And then that kind of looping back around with Foog and like the way that they have this spiritual lore connection with Viole and like his parents, right? That is also a certain like prestige that you have to like measure up to. There's all these expectations on that. So it's interesting to have all this stuff of like name and reputation versus the actual person. Lady Yuri doesn't run away. I don't think she fully knows how. Like she really has to be talked down from doing something, picking a fight. Wow, you got a lot going on, guy. I just feel like it's unnecessary for us to be doing all this yet anyway. At some point. Ooh, we got both? We were gonna pick one. We're like both, and let's see if one of them works. You don't even know? That's even worse. I like the please ignite, and then it's like one of them, I have twice the chance if I use both, right? Ooh, unless we're using both. And then is that too much? Oh, are we gonna be bickering a little bit? The two entities? I know Black March has got like high bar for who we're accepting. Who's this? Another two that we have to track down? Oh yeah, because we have the other princess. That's like part of the whole lore. Sorry, there's so much happening. I have to sit down and summarize like every single detail that is like a thread that we have not tied up yet in this series. There's too many, okay? I can't even sit here and think about the fact that we have no idea where Rock is right now, okay? Because there's too much going on. I'm doing my best. Why? That there's so many in one place? Because we know that they're the key, right? See what I say? It's like our job is to make you fight. What I said before, I'm like, people in positions of power that they have taken by force have a vested interest in keeping everyone else fighting amongst each other. They don't team up and fight the actual person who's causing all the issues. They're like, all right, since you got multiple of us in one place, we'll help you today. Let's not go insane. Let's not do that. There's enough insanity in this story already. I don't know. I feel like Black March is the OG, right? Both of you, obviously. You're like, I take the challenge of possible insanity. Again, Lady Yuri doesn't run from fights. She has to be talked down. I don't know if Lady Yuri's all there anyway. Case in point, I don't know if you get this far in the tower because you're sane. I don't know. Just see what happens. Like, it's immediately. It would be so much cooler though if I could control both. I don't know, maybe this is her only opportunity to see what insanity is like. I mean, if their job is to keep them all like fighting each other, a crazy princess with 2 of the 13 would cause a lot of chaos, if nothing else. Bit of a power struggle too, because like I said, even just having 2 of these, right, is enough to like tip the scales of how power dynamics work in the tower. Being able to actually ignite and use both of them simultaneously is a completely other matter, right? That's also going to drastically tip how the power scaling works. Oh yeah, I bet this conversation is looking a lot different from an outsider's perspective. Again, no one said Lady Yuri was sane. No one said sanity was what we were dealing with. Did we just like fully get one-shotted by Evan? We step in? I feel like it probably didn't work, but points for just stepping in and being like, hey, maybe we don't do something extremely dangerous. Use both of these weapons simultaneously. We're in the middle of negotiations, Evan. You're an MVP, but like right now she's in the middle of something. Again, it probably looks really different from an outsider's perspective of you don't have the conversation that's happening. She's too stubborn for that. Also, isn't this the first time we've seen Green April, like the actual entity inside? Because Anog couldn't ignite it. Her little face too, like the way that she has been drawn of just like this childish glee of, ooh, I want to try something new, like a new toy. There's really no point in us arguing this. That's just give her what she wants, she'll go crazy, and then we'll end up somewhere else. I think it's just like fine, but the moment that you go crazy, I would like to leave. This is crazy though. Like the artwork is also popping off despite the comedic beat. Interesting too, not to like interrupt our magical girl transformation. Also interesting to have 13, right, to become one. They have all these different entities inside of them. Very reminiscent of what we have with white, right? Which again, I'm assuming there's like connections in all of that, but also just like the foreshadowing that I'm realizing in retrospect, which I have all the time with this series, where I'm like, I've just realized all of the building blocks that we have put together throughout a bunch of the story to get to this point. Well done. There's so many moments of like multiple entities coexisting in a singular spot, and it's all coming together. Yeah, I feel like the dance is also interesting because we also had like one dance is like flippant, but then two, didn't we have dance with Kaiser as well? Didn't she talk about dancing on top of other people? Again, just like all the threads. Sometimes I start to see the tapestry. Other times I'm just anxious about being like tangled up. It is dangerous. I'm glad that we can feel the ominous feeling of this is gonna be a lot. Also multiple entities inside of one person. Bomb with all the souls. Sorry, just connections making on the fly. This is gonna be wild. This is gonna be unfortunate. I knew we were gonna mess this person's day up, but I wasn't quite sure how catastrophically we were gonna do that until this moment. Like even just using one, I'm like, that's rough, buddy. 2 of the 13 series being used against you, you might be like erased from the fabric of reality. Like I feel like people will forget about your existence by the pure amount of destruction that's about to happen. Like I'm a little bit nervous. Dorsey in the back. Wild. I thought she was scary before. Now I'm even more scared. The fact that you aren't like terrified shows me how stable Heljo is mentally. And we just pivoted. We'll come back to that later. I like that we're sticking together. We're being friends. Is that Arlene's pocket? It's a lot. There's probably going to be some more stuff in there. Maybe that we can comb through, because there was things where I can't tell you everything. You're not ready. There's too much. I don't know how much to trust. I don't trust many people in the tower at this point. There's too much going on. See, that's what I just said. I'm like, there's stuff that we don't know so far. There are things that we don't have all of the pieces. What do you mean not in his right mind? We already have someone incredibly powerful who might be on the verge of insanity. It's a lot of pressure. It's fine. I'm used to being stressed. I don't even know how to feel. Like, again, there's so many threads, but I feel like I can see it, right? This series is so good at setting up a bunch of the different pieces and having all these themes that overarch. And some of it's just like basic themes of the world building or the story that is being put together. And then some of it, I'm like, oh, wait, no, that was a building block for us to be getting to the point that we're at. Like, even though we've had a lot of information in the last like handful of chapters, a lot of world building, and it's like overwhelming in the fact that there's so much to comb through. It's not just overwhelming in that there's a lot of information. It's overwhelming because I can see all of the other pieces that have led up to this point. It's like I'm starting to see back through all of these different chapters, through all of these different character moments that have led to this moment, which is like way better than just dropping a bunch of it onto us. Like for all of the kind of info dump that we've had with the flashbacks and everything with Arlene and everything, I don't feel like I wasn't set up for that to make sense. And it's the same thing with the little bits that we're getting with the like 13-month series, right? Of yes, we've had some of the backstory of that, some of the world building of that, but we already know that there's like a key in bringing them all together. We already know that there's what it means to have these multiple different entities that all together create like a specific weapon or person or object or whatever with white. And we already know a little bit about how causing chaos within certain structures and like pitting people against each other is how the tower kind of minimizes power struggles and everything, right? Like the way that they ensure that people in authority aren't actually threatened by like the masses and stuff, right? Like we've seen a bunch of the manipulation and stuff that has happened and how like rumors get started or like information gets blocked, right? So there's so many different pieces that have led up to all of the information that we're getting that I'm overwhelmed because I feel like a little bit like galaxy brain of, oh wait, because we had all these things and I'm trying to like pull it all together, but there's also so many things that have not been tied together yet, which makes sense. I have so many more chapters to get through, but I am nervous about Lady Yuri and I don't want her to go insane. I'm not entirely certain she will, but I don't think it'll be easy, right? Like even with Bomb, like he has the protagonist like armor, right? But even with that, he's had moments where he's struggled to contain the ability and like power that he has access to. And Lady Yuri is a lot of things, right? She's extremely powerful. She has a bunch of training. It's not like she's just like throwing herself completely into a new circumstance in terms of being able to handle a bunch of power or doing dangerous things or whatever. But we're also dealing with someone who like doesn't necessarily have to be there to tell the story. Does that make sense? Like with Bomb, I'm like, if we lose him, like he is the chosen one. Where's the story now? The plot doesn't work. Whereas like Lady Yuri, like it would cause issues, but she doesn't necessarily have to be there. And also we're on a floor where there isn't an administrator, right? The Shinsu is already unstable. And now we're throwing in 2 of the 13 series being ignited at the same time. Right? Like there's a lot of things that are like, this should not work. And it makes me a little bit nervous about what that might entail for us. Evan's there though, and I do have a lot of faith in him to at least figure something out. Kuhn's around. He probably has at least some backup plans of some kind, some incentive, right? There's a lot of potential for us to deal with an issue. I just feel like there's a chance of there being more of an issue than I might be like emotionally ready for, but we'll see. I hope you enjoyed reading that along with me. You can click this playlist to go into my previous reactions, or you can subscribe to me next time I post a Tower of God video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.